Right now I'm going to talk about how to do an effective PowerPoint or any sort of presentation. This is made on Prezi.com and is a great presentation web-based program that I recommend. So when you are making a PowerPoint, the most important thing is to remember to keep it simple. So simple text, simple pictures, simple transitions. Bigger is better, but crazy is not good. So when you know how to do all those things, you're not showing off your skill by doing them, you're showing off your skill by not doing them, or better yet, using them where they're effective. So simple text, you should never make a block of text in a PowerPoint that says something the students can read for themselves. You will lose them after you've read the slide. You should always follow the 6-6 rule. The 6-6 rule means that there should be no more than 6 words across each line and no more than 6 bullet points down the slide. This was a terrible example of how to do a slide. Don't read off your PowerPoints and don't write a paragraph. So instead of something that looks like this, rather have something like this. Use a list, keep it concise. No more than 6 words down a page and no more than 6 words across a page. I like to keep it 3 words or under. Few words, big ideas, and use pictures to get your point across rather than a lot of words. Also, this is very important, don't use crazy fonts. If you are going to use a different or funky font, use it for a title. Don't use it for lists or for text. And better yet, just don't. Again, keep it simple. If you're going to use them, make sure that it's something that goes with your PowerPoint. So if you're talking about being bold, you could use bold font. But other than that, don't. Use dark on light as much as possible. There are studies that show that light on dark is more effective for students with dyslexia, but as a general rule, dark on light is how you want to make effective PowerPoints. Consistency, so the way that you style your lists, if they're on the left or the right or whatever they look like, the bullet point style, that needs to be the same. Simple is very effective, and you also want to make sure your text is large enough for your students to read from a distance. Pictures. You want to keep pictures simple, and a picture is worth 1,000 words. So if you want to grab your students' attention or whatever, insert a picture, and that will be the quickest way to ensure they remember what it is that you're talking about, especially if you can find a way to link a picture to what you are talking about in a fun or memorable way. I just Googled dog in a bow tie, and I found this. It's a cute picture that I remember whenever I think of this presentation. You want the pictures to be simple. Again, simple, simple, simple. They can grab the attention, and then they can provide you a launching pad for the explanation, or they could show an example of what you're talking about. So, in this picture, the man is giving a presentation, and so I might use it as an example of, notice that he's facing his audience, and that he's looking at his audience, and only pointing. Notice that his slide just has a picture on it, and not a lot of text. So that would be how to use a picture as an example. Here are 2 examples, yes and no. When you're putting pictures in, you want to pay attention to the angles, the size, and the orientation. So Pennywise on the left is crooked, it's too big, it's covering up text, and it's also outside of the circle that is the slide for this presentation. Everything about it is terrible. Whereas the picture on the right of Matt Bomber is aligned correctly, the text above it is centered, and it stays, while it is on the circle, it's not outside of it. You also want to pay attention to the weighting of a slide. So my text is in the top left, and my picture is in the bottom right. The picture that I would want is in the bottom right. You don't want everything on a slide to be on the left or everything to be on the right, and you don't want it all to be on the top or the bottom. This sounds counterintuitive, but you don't want to put something in every quadrant on a slide either. So you don't want something in top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. You want to keep it balanced, but not overwhelming. Again, simple. And last is transitions. You want them to be you don't want them to distract from what you're saying, and you want them to be consistent, simple, and quick. So every transition I've had in this presentation has been the same, and it's been very quick, and it's been very simple to follow. If you are doing a typewriter transition, all of your words will not be on the screen before you're ready to talk, and it wastes a lot of time when you're waiting for your slides to transition. If you're going to do a fly in or a fly out, those are generally the best. You could do a wipe or a checkerboard, but again, that might be a little too distracting for some students. If your slides are flip-flopping all different directions and circling, spiraling in, that definitely can give some students a headache. It's like being on a roller coaster ride and you weren't expecting that in the middle of class. So yes, again, you want it to be simple and quick and also definitely consistent. If you can find a way to make your transitions relate to what you're talking about, that is a very interesting way to grab students' attention. So if you're talking about magnification, then maybe your slide would be something where it jumps out at them so that it magnifies the slide in some way. Some last thoughts. Again, simple, simple, simple. If you aren't sure, don't do it. Don't distract from what you're talking about. You are the presenter. You are the professor. You're the one who is teaching this, not the presentation. Students should not be able to get your presentation and know all the information without you also teaching it. Focus on the people that are in front of you, not the presentation. You should always know your content well enough that you don't even need to look at your presentation other than to know what they are seeing. If you're not sure about something, don't do it. And aesthetics are important. How your PowerPoint looks is important to the content you're delivering. If it's distracting to students, they won't be listening to you. They'll be thinking about how it could be better, or their minds will be somewhere else. So I hope that this presentation has helped and that it will help you to be able to make better presentations in the future.